Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I want to talk about order promising in Dynamics NAV or Dynamics 365 Business Central. So this feature is especially useful for manufacturing companies who, when the customer called in for orders or when the customer placed orders, then the customer service rep want to provide the customer a promised delivery date. But usually the customer will request you a date they want you to deliver the products. But you have to check if your production line is already it's already fully loaded, if they still have the capacity to meet that deadline the customer requested. So you will run the order automation and you will run the order promising and to check based on two different scenarios. The first scenario is available to promise, and another scenario is capable to promise. Available promise is based on your current inventory on hand, and also the planned, like purchase order receipt or production orders, those planned output are receiving in your Business Central or Dynamics NAV. And capable to promise is like you don't have any quantity on hand for the item the customer requested, but based on the what if scenarios, like based on if you need to produce that product and using the current routing setup and the production BOM components, and then you have to if the raw materials is purchased from the vendor, then it calculate the lead time for you to get the raw materials. And if the components, the production BOM components is also like sub-assembly, you have to produce them first, then it will calculate in order for you to produce those sub-assembly and then assemble them as the production BOM for the finished goods item the customer required. So based on all those what if scenarios, then it will calculate capable to promise. It will provide you the earliest delivery date for you to promise to the customer. Okay, so then what is the setup? For the order promising, then you have to complete some setups in your system before the system can calculate a more accurate earliest delivery date or planned delivery date for you. So let's go through the order promising setup first. The first place you have to set up is the order promising setup. So from here, then you can set up an offsite time. So this offsite time is used for you to specify the period you want to wait in order to issue a new purchase order, production order, or transfer order through the planning worksheet. That's kind of like how long you want to wait before you issue a new production order, purchase order, or transfer orders through the planning feature. And then you have to specify a number series for the order promising. Because behind the scene and for each calculation of the order promising, it's gonna take a number. It's gonna take your number series for order promising. So the next is you have to put order promising template. This usually will be your planning worksheet. If you drill down, then you can see you have multiple requisition worksheet here, the basic requisition worksheet and planning worksheet. So this is for you after you accept the order promising, and it's gonna generate the planning line on the planning worksheet. And the order promising worksheet, this is a template. We are using the planning worksheet template and the worksheet. In the planning worksheet, so you can set up multiple worksheets, but right now we are just leave it as a default. We're just gonna use that default worksheet. Okay, so that's for the order promising setup. And then after you set this up, you have to set up the outbound warehouse handling time. So there's a global setting in the inventory setup that you can use. So this will you can specify the outbound warehouse handling time from here. So this is for you to ship your orders to the customer. So you have to calculate, because Dynamics NAV or Business Central calculate backward based on the customer's requested delivery date or your promised delivery date. Then it's gonna minus the shipping time, then minus the outbound warehouse handling time, then that equals to your shipment date. So it's gonna do the backward calculation. So if you only have one warehouse location, then you can set up the outbound warehouse handling time in the inventory setup. This is a kind of global settings. And if you have multiple warehouse locations, then you have to set it up in each warehouse location for the warehouse outbound warehouse handling time. So like on the blue warehouse, under the warehouse fast tab, you have this outbound warehouse handling time, because you have multiple locations, and each location's outbound warehouse handling time could be different. So you have to specify on each location if you have multiple warehouse locations. The inventory setup is a more global setting, and on the location card is kind of more specific setting. So the setup on the location card is always override the outbound warehouse handling time on the inventory setup. So that's for the outbound warehouse handling time. And also in the company information, there's some fields which is related to order promising as well. If you scroll down, going to the shipping fast tab, then you can see there's a field called check availability period calculation. This specifies like you may have some agreement with your customers, like how long the customer will wait. Like if you don't have anything in inventory, how long you want to wait. You know, like specifically in our pandemic period, in this pandemic, a big delay of the delivery of the products the customer orders. Like you place an order, you may wait for half a year for the order. If the supplier has to order from overseas in order to fulfill your order, sometimes you have to wait half a year, right, or even longer. So then you may have agreement with the customer. You may have a contract with the customer, and because you may have some models like just as a sample to show to the customer, but you don't have the inventory. Tell the customer, oh, we can order for you, and it takes how long for you to get it. So that's kind of like a promise the customer. The customer promise you how long they can wait for them to receive the order. So that's the time, the day, like I'm filling in 90 days, like based on your agreements with the customer, how long they can wait for the order to get delivered. Then you can put that days here. Currently I have 90 days here. And then you have the check availability time bucket. So for this one, it's because everything in Dynamics NAV or Business Central is the relationship between the supply and demand. So then this is like you're gonna use a period, like you specify a period, either it's a week or it's a month or quarter. How you want to recalculate your how you want to consolidate your supply orders. For example, you have multiple sales orders. You already created sales orders, and then but you don't have the inventory. So in order to calculate a supply order, either it's a purchase order or if it's a production order, then what's the duration you want to combine those sales orders demand? If it's a week, then it will just calculate all the demand for that item within that week, and then just place one supply order for everything within that week. Yeah, so this is the check availability time bucket. This is what this field means. And then after you set up these, you can specify a base calendar in your system as well, like either it's a 5 days calendar or 7 days a week calendar. You can create one if you don't have. So let's take a look of this service calendar. What is the service calendar? If that's, oh, that service calendar is, so you can see how this calendar looks like. It's only on Saturday and Sunday. No, this is Saturday and Sunday is non-working days. So then the one which you did not check is the is the working days, right? So actually the service calendar is the Monday through Friday. So that's a pretty good calendar, 5 days a week calendar. We can use this calendar. Okay, so that's it in the company information. You have to set up those fields. And also you have to set up the shipping time. So you can set up the shipping time under the shipping agent, like based on what shipping carriers you are using. So let's go to navigate and go to shipping agent services. So you can set up the shipping time from here. Now in this case, it's a DHL. Then you have two different, one is the overnight service, another one is a standard delivery service. And their shipping time is different. So you can set up the different shipping time for different services here. And for the other carriers, you can check as well, right? So that's where you can set up the shipping time. And another place is like you can also set up the shipping time on the customer card. So if you go to any customer like this Canon group, this customer, if you scroll down and go to the shipping tab, then you can see there's a shipping time for the customer as well. Okay, so yeah, just if you have this specifically on the customer, then it's gonna use that. If you specify that on the customer card, it's gonna, when you create a sales order, that will be carried over. Okay, so but if you check for this shipping service for this overnight, it's also 1 day, right? So they actually they matches each other, this 1 day and this shipping carrier's shipping time. Okay, so that's for the shipping time. And also there's another setup. So I'm gonna use an example as the basic code, but in order to simplify it, and I just changed the BOM to only include 2 components on the BOM. So you could see only 2 items on the BOM. So on the BOM item, so this is kind of, the basic is the parent item and the BOM is kind of the children item. You need to have those components in order to produce that parent item for the basic. So then we have these 2 items, 1100 and 1200, those 2 items. So if we look at those 2 items on the item card, in order for you to calculate the inventory to consider this children items availability, then you have to go to your planning fast tab on the item card, and then there's a field called critical. You have to check this checkbox in order to consider the item. So when you create a planning line in the planning worksheet from the order promising, then this, because this item is also, this component is also, it's a kind of a sub-assembly. It's also the replenishment system is a production order. So it's kind of a sub-assembly. So you have to produce this item first in order to fulfill your order for that basic item number 1000. Same for the other item, which is the 1200. If you look at this item, then you can just, you have to make sure you have this check mark checked. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna remove this check mark for this 1200. Then let's see what's gonna happen, okay? So that's another thing you have to do. You have to make sure you set up the, you have to make sure you set up the children item to have that critical check mark on them in order to consider them in the inventory calculation. Okay, so and the next thing you want to do, so we're gonna create a sales order for the customer 1000, which is the Canon group. Then we're gonna test this feature out because we finished that order promising basic setup. So we're gonna create a new sales order and then just put this customer number 10,000, and on this sales line I'm gonna just put that basic code as an example. Let's say we need 10 of this basic code. And because this basic code is also by production order, if you check this item basic code, it's the replenishment system is a production order, okay? So then the system will, and the production order is make to stock if you look at the item card. So after we did this, let's say the customer called you, they want to order 10 of this basic code, and they ask you, so because the document that I have here, because this is Kronos demo company, my current work date is August 12, 2021. So this demo company doesn't like you to use the current date, always before or after the current date. Okay, as a workday. So now, if the customer called in on August 12th, 2021, and they want you to deliver the 10 bicycles by the September 1st, 2021. Okay, that's what they ask you. After you enter that requested delivery date, you could see ask you to update the lines. You can click on yes. So then what the result of this on the line, if you look at this line, it will have the planned delivery date, planned shipment date, all these shipment date, all these calculated by backward calculated from this requested delivery date. That requested delivery date minus the shipping time will be the planned shipment date, which is like you have to put the products available on the dock to ship. So then that's you see the shipping time is 1 day on this customer. That's why it's calculated a planned delivery date. So the planned delivery date is September 1st. That's what we entered, right? And then we minus the shipping time 1 day. That's the planned shipment date, which is August 31st. That's because we have 1 day as a shipping time. And then the outbound warehouse handling time. I think because we did not enter anything for this blue warehouse yet, so that's why it just showing the same day. Let's double check. So blue locations. We have to go to the locations and find this blue warehouse. So I talk about the outbound warehouse handling time, but I didn't enter it here. That's the issue, right? Because we don't have anything here, then it just minus 0 in order. And in the inventory setup, I mentioned about this, but we didn't set up anything. I just talked about this. Okay, so that's why it's calculating that way. But let's say we do want the blue warehouse to calculate like 1 day. Let's set it up. Okay, let's complete that setup. And then let's try this again. I'm gonna change this to request the delivery date to September the 2nd, right? And then ask me to recalculate the lines. I did. I click on yes. So now it should calculate. Oh, did I? Just give me a second. I'm gonna enter back to September 1st. Do you want to update the lines? I will say yes. Okay. And let's see if the date changed. Planned shipment date. It still did not. It still did not minus that 1 day for the outbound warehouse handling time because we entered this line was entered in advance. Okay, so that's just delete this line and retry it. So we want to see the result for that, right? So that's just putting our item again, 1,000 bicycle, and we need a 10 of the bicycle here, and planned shipment date. Okay, so requested delivery date, and this is the minus 1 day. It's a planned shipment date, and there's still some issue with this. It did not consider our outbound handling time. Okay, so because that blue location is on the header, somehow we have to create a new sales order in order to see that. So that's just create a new sales order. Then we should be able to see, because we just make sure we did our change for the blue locations did show up there as the 1 day for the outbound warehouse handling time. Where outbound warehouse 1 day. Okay, that's good. So let's reopen. Let's create this new sales order again. Then put this customer 1,000 there, 10,000 there. Okay, and then let's putting our item on the line first, and then putting 10 for this. Then the customer requested for us to deliver at September the 1st, 2021. Okay, then let's update the line. Let's take a look now. Okay, so now it's calculating, you see here, right? So we have to create a new sales order. The reason is because that one is on the location is on the header, right? So if we only when we refresh the header, then it should update. So anyway, so So now it's calculating that way. It's considering the 1-day warehouse, outbound warehouse handling time. And you could see we entered the requested delivery date September 1st, 2021, and the planned delivery is the same date, minus the shipping time 1 day and equals to August 31st, 2021, then minus the 1 day for the outbound warehouse handling time is equals to the shipment date, August 30th, 2021. Okay, so this is all good. So then that's how it's backward calculating in Dynamics NAV or Business Central for the shipment date. But the customer requested you to deliver on September 1st, 2021. At that time, you have no visibility of your production line, and you cannot confirm if you can achieve, if you can meet that deadline. So then what you want to do, because you already completed order promising setup, then you can just go to the actions and the order promising. So as I said, there's two methods for you to use. One is available to promise, another is capable to promise. But you could see the inventory is already negative. It's no availability in your inventory. So even you click on available to promise, nothing happens, right? So, but you will not, the system will not allow you to click on capable to promise from the same screen. You have to come up, you have to close this window, then come back. Okay, so we know that available to promise will not be possible because this negative inventory. Then we have to use the capable to promise, this what if scenarios to calculate. Okay, so let's click on capable to promise. You see the system is doing the calculation in the background, and then it tells you the earliest shipment date is September 24th, and the planned delivery date is September the 28th, 2021. Okay, so that's just give the customer a promise. You don't want to be too optimistic to provide just the earliest. Anyway, so this earliest shipment date is calculating. So because we have a 5 days calendar, right? We are using the 5 days calendar. And if you look at September the 24th, so the September 24th, then there's a Saturday, Sunday. So the 28th is a Saturday. Also, it should not consider Saturday because we are using, I'm not looking at September. Sorry. So this is 24th is a Friday. So because we are using the 5 days calendar, so it does not consider the Saturday and Sunday. And then it calculates the shipment date is earliest you can ship on September 24th. So you cannot promise that day because you still have to add the outbound warehouse handling time, which is 1 day, and which will be 27th. Then you have to add the shipping time, which is another 1 day. Then it becomes September 28th, right? So you cannot promise this day. You have to promise this day. This is the date you can promise. If you think it's good, then you can click on accept. When you click on accept, you just come back to this sales order screen. But actually, there's something happened behind the scene. If now you go to the planning worksheet, because in the order promising, we set up to use this planning worksheet, you could see we have these 2 production orders generated. So if you remember, in that basical on the production BOM, I only have the item 1100 and 1200. And because I removed that critical check mark on 1200, that's why it's not including it on this calculation. Let's do another test, okay? So let's delete this and go back to that item, which is on the production BOM of that bicycle, okay? So if we go to this, let's just drill in from here, so then you can have a clearer view on it. So you see that bicycle's production BOM, we have these 2 items, right? We remove the check mark on the critical for the item 1200. So that's just added back. Under the planning first tab, just add this critical back. So then it will consider the availability for that item when it does the planning. Okay, so we did this, and now let's go back. then let's run the order promising again on that sales order, because I deleted the planning lines in the planning worksheet. Just go back to make sure I deleted them. I did. Okay, in this default worksheet, I don't have any line anymore now. Let's go back to the sales order again, and then let's calculate order promising again. So then click on capable to promise and accept it. You see, it just back to the sales order screen, but behind the scene, it's creating the lines in the planning worksheet. So this time it created 3. It need to create 3 production orders, because in order to ship this item bicycle, you have to produce these 2 sub-assembly first. That's why it recommends you to create 2 new production orders, planned production orders for them. So right now it's planned production order, but when you create them, then you have to switch. After you create a planned production order, then you can just release those planned production order. Okay, so if you want to continue, then you can just click on carry out action message, and then it will ask you to create the production orders. You can create a planned production orders, and then they will be gone. And if you go to the planned production orders, then you can just change them, release those production orders. One is for basic, so these 3 is the one we just created right now. Okay, so then you just you see these dates, right? And these dates are in order for us to produce this basic code to meet that promised delivery date. Okay, so it seems like this. Then you just I'm just gonna go to one of these production orders. Then you can change the status, right? You can change status to released, right? To create a release production order. Then you go to your release production order to post the output and consumption. Okay, so anyway, I'm not gonna finish that part because we are focusing on the order promising, not the production orders. So then if we go back to the sales order, so you can understand the whole process. Then you enter the, once you click on accept under the order promising, behind the scene, it's creating the planning lines in the planning worksheet. And also it commit that planned delivery date to the promised delivery date here. Okay, so this is the date that you can promise to your customer, like your production can complete. But you could see with this order promising feature, it integrates your sales, like your customer service rep. They're filling in the sales order, they're promising the date, and behind the scene, and it's gonna create those planned production orders for your production department to proceed to release them and produce those items. So that's why this is very useful in a manufacturing company, and it gives your customer service, the salespeople, the visibility, kind of like even like they do not have visibility of how busy of their shop floor to the capacity on each work centers. Even they don't have that visibility, but they can use this feature to calculate based on the system setup for the order promising. Then the system will automatically calculate the date, and then it integrates with your production department. Then they can create a relevant production orders in order to meet that delivery date. Okay, thank you so much for watching this YouTube video. I hope to see you guys again next time.
Thanks for watching this Archer Point video. If you found it helpful, make sure to check out our website and blog at www.archerpoint.com. Additionally, if you have any questions regarding our products, services, or information in this video, feel free to email us at info@archerpoint.com. Thanks.